So Apple just leaked something, and honestly, it's not what anyone was expecting. The iPhone 18 Pro is coming in September 2026, and it's coming in dark cherry, a deep wine-toned red that Apple has been quietly developing as the full replacement for cosmic orange. That's the headline. But here's the thing, there's a lot more hiding underneath these leaks that nobody's really talking about yet. And one decision Apple just made might actually make you angry. We'll get there. The iPhone 18 Pro is shaping up to be a camera-first upgrade for 2026 with a new signature color and what would be the first variable aperture in iPhone history. That's actually a big deal, but so is everything surrounding the phone, the design changes, the colors Apple didn't choose, and this weird new release strategy that flips the entire iPhone calendar upside down. I've gone through every credible leak, supply chain sources, Weibo insiders, Bloomberg intel, and I'm going to break down what's actually confirmed, what's still fluid, and what Apple is absolutely not telling you right now. And there's one thing buried in these leaks that I think changes the upgrade decision entirely. We'll get to that. Okay, dark cherry. Let's actually talk about this properly because the internet has been calling it dark red, and that's technically true, but also kind of misleading. While other sources had reported on a dark red option, the information from a supply chain source suggests that Apple has been working on a dark cherry option, and the hue will be much closer to wine than fruit punch. So if you're imagining a bold, aggressive red, think less product red energy, more a glass of Merlot in titanium form. Dark cherry is Pantone 6076. That's a very specific, very intentional shade. Apple doesn't accidentally pick colors. Dark cherry accomplishes a sense of premium restraint while still feeling distinct. A sharp contrast to last year's divisive cosmic orange. And speaking of cosmic orange, in 2024 it was desert titanium. In 2025 it was cosmic orange, which divided people sharply. I mean, sharply is being polite. People either loved it or acted like Apple had personally wronged them. Dark cherry feels like Apple read the room. Finally, so what's the rest of the palette looking like? According to a supply chain source, Apple has been working on 4 color options for the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max. Light blue, resembling the current iPhone 17's mist blue, dark cherry as the headline new color, dark gray that looks almost identical to space black, and a classic silver. So dark cherry, light blue, dark gray, silver. Now, dark gray is likely to look similar to space black, as Apple is said to use Pantone 426C, a shade of gray that looks almost black. So basically, Apple removed black, called it dark gray, and gave it a slightly lighter tint. That's very Apple of them. But here's the part that's going to annoy people. One color that will notably not be available, black. Weibo leaker Instant Digital, who has a reliable track record on Apple hardware specifics, confirmed that the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max will not come in black for the second consecutive year. The iPhone 17 Pro also skipped black, which had been a staple of the Pro lineup for years prior. 2 years in a row, no black. And the reason? Apple appears to be prioritizing colors that photograph distinctively on camera and in marketing materials. So essentially, Apple removed your favorite color so their product shots look better on a billboard. That's courage. Okay, color is the fun story. Let's talk about the design changes. And because this is where it gets more interesting, moving some Face ID components under the display will reportedly enable a dynamic island that's about 35% smaller than on iPhone 17 Pro. 35% smaller. That's not a minor adjustment. The smaller dynamic island would leave more screen space when live activities are not showing. On a daily driver, you'll notice that every single time you pick up the phone. But wait, there's a catch. Previously, Weibo leaker Digital Chat Station was the lone voice of doubt about the change. He said a smaller dynamic island was Apple's initial plan, but the company was considering reusing molds from last year's iPhones, which would mean minimal changes to the dynamic island. So both options are apparently still being considered by Apple, with a decision yet to come. So the biggest design feature of the iPhone 18 Pro might not happen. Apple is literally still deciding, which is fine. They have time, but worth knowing before you pre-order based on a render. Now for the back of the phone, the rectangular plateau camera design will be unchanged from last year. However, the back will feature minor adjustments to the body materials and design details. The camera bump on current Pro models has a visible gap between the lens glass and the surrounding titanium frame. Reducing that gap creates a more flush, seamless rear, the kind of design detail that you notice more in person than in photos, but that contributes meaningfully to the premium feel. That's actually the kind of change I want Apple to make. Not flashy, just better. Here's what I think is the actual reason to care about the iPhone 18 Pro this year. MacRumors reported in April that variable aperture production has begun, making this iPhone's first variable aperture camera essentially confirmed. Variable aperture, let me explain why that matters. The main 48 megapixel fusion camera on both iPhone 18 Pro models is rumored to have a variable aperture, which would allow users to control the amount of light that passes through the camera's lens and reaches the sensor. Right now, every iPhone has a fixed aperture. It doesn't change. The camera is essentially always shooting through the same size opening, no matter the conditions. Variable aperture means the phone can mechanically adjust, open up in low light, close down in bright sun in the way a real camera does. This is one of those features that sounds like a spec sheet thing, but will absolutely show up in real photos. The difference between a fixed aperture phone camera and a variable aperture one in complex lighting, it's visible. You'll see it. And honestly, this is the upgrade that's been on the list for years. The fact that it's now reportedly in production and is significant, that's not a rumor anymore. That's a supply chain fact. Quickly use up the Biaoke because you need to know. Leaker Digital Chat Station highlights 3 upgrades he believes are confirmed. The A20 Pro chip with a 2 nanometer process, a larger battery with over 5,000 milliamp hour capacity, and camera aperture changes as strong selling points for the device. The current A19 chip is built on a 3 nanometer process, and 2 nanometers is a long-awaited step down in node size. In real terms, faster processing, better efficiency, longer battery life at the same or lower power draw. Other widely reported features include Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 6 via an N2 wireless chip, a C2 modem with satellite connectivity, and an enhanced 48 megapixel Fusion main camera. The C2 modem replacing the C1 is interesting too. The iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max are expected to launch featuring the debut of Apple's C2 modem. Better signal, better battery efficiency. The kind of update you only notice when it works perfectly. And one more, all iPhone 18 models could include a 24 megapixel front-facing camera, up from 18 megapixels. That's a 33% bump in selfie resolution. FaceTime is about to hit different. Okay, this is the part that changes things for a lot of people. Apple is splitting its iPhone 18 lineup, with the more expensive Pro and Fold models launching in fall 2026 and the more affordable iPhone 18 and iPhone 18e coming in spring 2027. Apple is deviating from its standard iPhone launch process. The iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max will launch in September as usual, with Apple also planning to introduce the first foldable iPhone. We'll get Apple's 3 most expensive iPhones in the fall. After the fall launch, Apple will introduce the standard iPhone 18, the iPhone 18e, and a second-generation iPhone Air in spring 2027. So here's the practical reality. If you're a Pro buyer, September 2026, same as always. If you're a base model buyer, you're waiting until 2027. The launch schedule could shape buyer behavior as much as the hardware itself. Multiple reports indicate Apple may release the iPhone 18 Pro, iPhone 18 Pro Max, and a foldable model in September, then hold the standard iPhone 18 for early next year, giving premium devices a cleaner spotlight and stretching media attention across two cycles. Cleaner spotlight, two attention cycles. That's very calculated. Apple is basically staging its own award season, Oscars in September, Grammys in March. So, where does this all land if you're on an iPhone 16 Pro or earlier? The iPhone 18 Pro looks like a legitimate upgrade. The smaller dynamic island via partial under display, Face ID, variable aperture in production, the upgraded display, a 20 Pro chip, improved connectivity, all widely reported. That's a meaningful stack of changes, not just a color refresh. If you're on an iPhone 17 Pro, honestly, since iPhone 17 Pro offered a bold new design, Apple is unlikely to make major changes again this year. These latest leaks are in line with the kind of iterative changes we'd expect from most iPhone updates. You're probably fine waiting. And the colors, look, dark cherry is going to look incredible in person. Titanium plus a deep wine red is a combination that doesn't exist yet on any smartphone. It's restrained enough to look premium and distinctive enough to actually stand out. That's hard to pull off. The one thing still truly up in the air, all four colors are still in development, and since the iPhone 18 Pro has not yet gone into mass production, Apple still has time to make changes. Apple also does not always offer four color options for the Pro lineup, so one of these shades could be dropped before launch. So everything you just heard, including dark cherry, is still subject to change. Apple hasn't said a word. This is all supply chain intel. But right now, this is the most complete picture we've got, and it's looking pretty good. Drop a comment. Which color are you actually going to pick? Because I think most people are going dark cherry and then quietly switching to silver at checkout every time. See you next video. Peace.